Earlier today, I got an email from a former student that I had in 2020. She asked if I still had the Dory Phantasmagoria books in my classroom library, and if I did, if I could send them home with my current student, her brother, so that she could reread them because she has been missing those books. Isn't that amazing? And it got me thinking back to her class and how much these books meant to so many of my readers that year. And if I think about that class, this is definitely one of the books that kind of defines that class and what that class read and what they meant to me. And I love that books can remind me of certain classes and certain students. So it got me thinking, with 7 weeks left in the school year, what are the books that define this classroom? What are the books when I see kids from this class 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now? What books will I think of? And it made me think, let's make a video with these 6 books that will define this class for me for years to come. Are you ready to see the titles? Oh, I'm so excited to show them to you. The first book that I will think of when I think of this group of readers is The Strange Case of Origami Yoda. It was our first read aloud of the year. It set the tone of a class that loves books and loves stories and can't get enough of that time together. And I had so many kids go on and read Darth Paper and other books in the series after we finished this. And even now, 7 months later, I have kids still reading books in the series. As a matter of fact, today a kid finished Princess Label Maker, which I believe is the 4th book in the series. Jabba the Puppet finished. Anyways, he finished that and immediately started reading Princess Label Maker. I love seeing a book that has that sort of staying power throughout an entire year of a classroom. Next up, one of the most read and excited, talked about books of the class this year is The War That Saved My Life by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley, and the sequel, The War I Finally Won. These 2 historical fiction novels are phenomenal. They're amazing. And what I love about this book and why I will remember so much for this year's class is because I didn't even book talk this book. This was just a book that a reader picked up and she read, and through her word of mouth and others who read it, it just kept going from kid to kid to kid to kid, just like we dream of that, right? We dream that kids will post or will share books and get others to read them and get excited, because that's what readers do. And to see them doing that on their own, to see them doing that independently without me, without my book talks, makes me so happy. Definitely one of the books that I will always think of when I think of this group of readers. Next up, The Jumpies by Tracy Baptiste. I read this book aloud in like the November into December time frame, and the kids were really into it, and there were some really scary scenes, and it was pretty intense in here, and just that feeling of like being on the edge of your seat with them was a lot of fun to experience with them. And then someone very kindly sent everyone in my class a copy of this book, so everyone had the second book in the series, and so many of them went on to read that over winter break. Even last week, someone was telling me they just finished reading the sequel. I love seeing that. This is the first time I've read this book aloud to kids, so I'll always remember this group of kids when I think of The Jumpies. Next up, gotta have a graphic novel. Jerry Craft's The New Kid is a just remarkable series, right? You have New Kid, you have Class Act, and you have School Trip. I keep wanting to call it Class Trip. It's School Trip. And what I love about New Kid is how powerful it is, how engaging it is, how thought-provoking it is, and how kids just can't get enough. It's one of those graphic novels, kind of like Raina Telgemeier Smile, that I'm seeing kids reading it over and over and over again. And now that School Trip has come out, so many kids are being introduced to this series for the first time this year, and so many other kids are going back and rereading these beloved books. It makes me so happy. Next up, I could have picked 2 Degrees by Alan Gratz. I could have picked Ground Zero by Alan Gratz, but I couldn't find Ground Zero, so I picked 2 Degrees. Though these 2 Alan Gratz books have been so popular, but like in an intense way. Like the kids reading it are like so into it, like they're in it in an intense and exciting and can't stop reading and can't stop talking about it. And like they feel like when they read these Alan Gratz books, they feel like driven to share it with someone else. Like they can't, they have to get this, it's like they have to, they have to get someone else to read it. It's like a requirement for them. Like they're so into it, and the way that they felt, they want other people to feel that way reading the book. So 2 Degrees, Alan Gratz, Ground Zero, Alan Gratz are books that I will always remember for this classroom. And then I've got to have a picture book, 20 Questions, Mac Barnett, Christian Robinson. I read this book to myself at home when I got it, and I was like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And then I read it to the kids, and there's all these questions, like where did the bandits bury the treasure? What would you do if you found it? Then there's like, who is she waiting for? And I was like, I don't get it. But then you read it to kids and they are just like, they can't even raise their hand. They're just shouting out answers. They're so excited. They're giggling. They're laughing. They're telling other people what they think. So much fun. I'm imagining that this is a great book to read aloud to kids from like 9 months to 99 years old. It's that much fun. And this actually turned into what we do when we have a few minutes. If we have a few minutes, we actually play the old school game, 20 questions. It started with me thinking of something, and then they would ask questions and questions and questions, trying to figure it out. And it has morphed into, a lot of times we play where I pick a book that we've read aloud this year, and there's over 100 to choose from between picture books and chapter books, and they ask me 20 questions trying to determine which book it is. It is wildly fun. So forever and always, with this group of amazing readers that I've had the pleasure of serving and spending so much time with, these are 6 of the books that I will always remember them by. I hope that you are making memories with the readers you serve. I hope books are being fallen in love with by readers, and that there are some titles that you will always remember a specific kid reading it at a specific time. My name is Colby Sharp. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have an awesome-tastic day.